A mysterious encounter with a wild man and strange, shadowy figures in the forest leads to a shocking revelation. Something ancient has marked the narrator. The bond with their horse grows deeper, and they realize they're part of a greater mystery. The story leaves unanswered questions, leaving you craving more. Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. Have you ever had a moment with an animal that completely changed your life? A moment so powerful, so unexpected, that it left you questioning everything you thought you knew? Well, that's exactly what happened to me when I found myself alone with my horse. What started as an ordinary day quickly turned into a secret story I never thought I'd tell. It wasn't just the quiet company of my horse or the peaceful surroundings that made this moment unforgettable. There was something about that day, something in the air, that felt different. It's hard to explain, but when you're with an animal that truly understands you, something deep inside starts to shift. That's exactly what happened. And what followed was nothing short of a revelation. The bond we share with animals is often underestimated. They can show us things about ourselves that we don't see. But what happened between me and my horse was more than just an emotional connection. It was as if the universe was sending me a message. What I discovered that day is something I never expected, and I'm still trying to understand it fully. So, what happened when I was alone with my horse? Stick around, because this secret story is far from over, and trust me, you won't believe the twist it takes next. I've always loved spending time with my horse, but this particular day felt different. There was a strange energy in the air, as if the world around me was holding its breath. My horse, a majestic creature who had always been calm and collected, seemed to sense it too. His eyes were wide, alert, and yet there was something almost pleading in them. I had no idea what was coming, but I felt an odd pull to follow his lead. We had been out for a ride, just enjoying the peaceful surroundings of the field. The wind was gentle, and the sun was beginning to set, casting an orange glow over everything. It was the perfect moment for quiet reflection. But then, without any warning, my horse suddenly stopped in his tracks. He refused to move, and no matter how much I tried to encourage him, he stayed frozen, staring off into the distance. At first, I thought it was just a simple moment of hesitation, but the more I tried to coax him, the more uneasy I became. His reaction wasn't normal. It felt as though he was trying to tell me something, but I couldn't understand what. My heart began to race as a strange feeling crept up my spine. I looked around, trying to see if something was wrong, but everything seemed quiet. Then, just as I was about to turn back, I heard a sound, one that sent chills down my spine. A low, almost eerie sound, coming from somewhere deep within the forest. My horse's ears perked up, and he started to shuffle nervously. What was that sound? And why was my horse reacting this way? I couldn't shake the growing sense of unease that settled over me. The sound coming from the forest was unlike anything I'd ever heard before. Deep, rumbling, like something was moving through the trees. My horse's body was stiff, his nostrils flaring as he sniffed the air, trying to make sense of it. He was no longer the calm, steady companion I'd known. It was as if he had become attuned to something I couldn't perceive. I called out to him, trying to reassure him, but he only took a cautious step back. I couldn't understand what was happening. The more I listened, the more the sound seemed to grow, reverberating through the still air. It was as if the forest itself was alive, breathing in sync with the sound. I felt a shiver run through me, my instincts telling me to turn back, but something deeper within me, something connected to my bond with my horse, urged me to stay. I decided to follow the noise, driven by a curiosity I couldn't explain. My horse was reluctant, but I gently nudged him forward, feeling a strange mix of fear and excitement. As we ventured deeper into the woods, the air grew heavier, thicker, with an unsettling energy. I started to feel like we weren't alone. There was a presence, something watching us, just beyond the shadows of the trees. The deeper we went, the stronger the sensation grew, until it felt like the very ground beneath us was alive. My horse started to whinny nervously, and I had to keep a firm grip on the reins. Whatever we were getting closer to, I wasn't sure I was ready to face it. With every step we took deeper into the woods, my anxiety grew. The sound was louder now, almost deafening, like the earth itself was groaning under some unseen pressure. My horse was restless, his movements quick and sharp as he sensed the danger I couldn't yet understand. His mane was damp with sweat, and I could feel his heart racing beneath me. The trees around us seemed to close in, the shadows thickening in ways that didn't make sense. It felt like we were walking into something that had been waiting for us, waiting for me. I stopped, my pulse pounding in my ears. The air was so still, yet the trees whispered as though they were alive, speaking to each other in a language I couldn't grasp. My horse whinnied again, louder this time, and I could see the whites of his eyes. He was scared. I was scared. But something inside me refused to turn back. The pull was too strong. The mystery was too consuming. Then, just as I was about to urge him forward, I saw it. Movement in the distance. Something, or someone, was emerging from the darkness between the trees. At first, it was just a shape, barely visible, but it moved with purpose, like it knew we were there. My heart skipped a beat. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't know if we were about to face something I could never have imagined, or if this was just my mind playing tricks on me. But one thing was clear. We had come too far to turn back now. The shape in the distance grew clearer, but it wasn't human. It was large, moving with a fluidity that felt unnatural, like something from the depths of the forest, something that belonged in the shadows. My horse began to rear, his hooves striking the ground in panic, but I held tight, my grip tightening on the reins as the figure drew closer. Every instinct I had screamed at me to run, to flee, but my feet were rooted to the spot. I felt a strange compulsion to stay. The sound from earlier, the low, rumbling growl, was now replaced by a silence so thick it felt suffocating. The figure was closer now, only a few yards away, and I could finally make out details. The forest around us seemed to bend and stretch in ways that didn't make sense. The shadows flickered, almost as if they were alive, reacting to this presence. My heart raced, my breath shallow. I could hear nothing but the pounding of my own pulse in my ears. The presence was too overwhelming to ignore. I felt as if I was about to uncover something ancient, something hidden in the woods for far too long. But I couldn't look away. What was this thing? And what did it want from me and my horse? Just as I braced myself, the figure stepped out from the trees, and my heart nearly stopped. It wasn't some dark creature from a nightmare. It was a person, dressed in tattered clothes, eyes wide and wild. His face was twisted in fear, as if he had been running for his life. He wasn't the thing I had feared, but he wasn't the solution either. My horse still neighed in terror, backing away as the man stumbled toward us. His hands were raised, palms out, as though trying to calm us. "Stay back!" he yelled hoarsely, his voice breaking. "You don't understand. It's coming! They're coming!" Before I could ask who he was or what he meant, he pointed behind me, and my stomach dropped. The forest was alive in ways I couldn't explain. Figures, dark, fleeting shadows, were emerging from the trees, circling us. More of them, and they weren't human. The man grabbed the reins of my horse, his eyes frantic. "We have to leave. Now." Just as I turned to flee, I heard the voice that sent chills through my very bones, a whisper in my ear, too close for comfort. "You can't run. It's already inside you." I froze. My heart thudded painfully in my chest. And then I understood. It wasn't just the forest that was haunted. It was me. I stood there, unable to move, as the weight of the man's words sank in. "It's already inside you." The words echoed in my mind, and for the first time, I realized the terror wasn't just in the forest. It was in me. The strange connection I'd felt with my horse, the unsettling pull that had led me deeper into the woods, was no coincidence. Something had changed within me during that moment alone with my horse. Something I couldn't explain. The man, still gripping my horse's reins, seemed to sense my confusion. "The forest. It's a place of ancient power," he whispered urgently. "It chooses who it will take." His eyes were haunted, his face gaunt from years of running. I tried to escape it, but it followed me. "Now it's trying to claim you." I wanted to ask more, but the ground beneath us rumbled, and I knew it was too late. The shadows around us were closing in, and the pull was stronger than ever. With a final glance at the man, I turned and urged my horse forward. We ran, heart racing, desperate for an escape that felt impossible. But as we broke free from the woods, the whispers faded, and I felt a shift within me. The forest had claimed its mark on me, and I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. I looked at my horse, and in his eyes I saw the truth. We were both part of something much larger than ourselves now. The mystery was far from over, but for the first time, I wasn't alone in it.